Hi, I'm Erick Medel, and you're in my studio right now. And I'm working on this piece that's going somewhere in December.
Tell me a little bit about your practice. What are you doing there?
I mean, I started using this process a couple of years ago. I used the sewing machine to draw, and I can show you what it looks like. So these individual lines begin to form like the final image. So I sit here for like hours just making art.
Do you always use the same stitch, or is it sometimes different?
It's just all these like lines, but I do have control over what direction the lines go. Like right now, I'm working on the foreground, so it's just like a lot of like straight lines going. When I do more of like detailed stuff, like when it's more of like a figure, and then I take my time and decide which direction I want the thread to go. And so there's just a lot of moving the thread back and forth.
How do you come up with the subjects for your works?
A lot of it's kind of like part of my heritage and my culture. I focus a lot on Mexican culture, a lot of like immigrant labor. I'm really drawn to those subject matter.
Why do you think it's important to represent sort of the things that you do instead of just making sort of abstracted versions of line art with sewing?
Yeah, I mean, there's room for everybody, for all kinds of art, you know. This is just like, this is my lane. But I think it's important to like kind of make work about like today, because this is like my moment in time in this, in the world, and like I get to capture all these things happening today, and like maybe people will look back on them, you know, decades from now, and it's just like a time capsule maybe of like what's happening today, what the neighborhood looks like, or like what's happening out there. Talking to somebody, he told me it was more like a reportage. Like my approach to art is like I see something out in the world, I come back here and I make something and then like throw it back to the world. Like I'm reporting on like what's happening out there. I hope I'm saying it right, I don't know, but yeah, just kind of like going out to the world, bringing that back into the studio, making the work, and then putting it back out there of like just to like make people kind of appreciate those little moments that happen in like, you know, everyday life.
Tell me how you got into sewing.
Started in grad school with just like learning how to use a sewing machine. It was like pretty basic stuff. And then over time, I think I started getting into quilting. So that took a bit of a learning curve just to like get used to like using the machine and how fabrics react, and like, cause you know, different fabrics are not the same with stitching. And so like going through that, and then I eventually stumbled upon like thinking of the machine as a drawing tool. And then I think from there, it's kind of like in my mind, something like went off, and that's where like I started seeing it as like a drawing technique rather than like stitching technique. But I go back and forth, you know, it's kind of hard to like pinpoint and be like, oh, it's like this one thing. It's like, it can be a lot of things.
When did you first start thinking about pursuing art as a career?
I would say, I mean, I was the artsy kid when I was in like high school. So I started doing like drawing classes, and then I found like a really nice, like a photo class and like a professor that was really encouraging. I think that was like one of those things that you need when you're young, and then like you want to feel like someone's supporting you and like kind of believes in like what you believe in at the time. And I've been doing that since high school. I was into photo, and then all those years before I went to college and grad school, photo was like my main thing. Yeah, I mean, I feel like photo's still like a big part of the process. Like everything begins with a photograph, so like photo's still there, but it's not like the main. It's just kind of like part of the overall process.
Are you originally from LA?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up here. I was born in Mexico, but I grew up here since, my parents brought me here when I was 13. And I grew up here, and then I went away to college, and then grad school, and then I came back.
Okay. Where was college and grad school?
College was in UC Santa Cruz, which is a beautiful campus. And then RISD for grad school. And then I came back in 2018, but it kind of felt like I needed to be away to like really appreciate home. And I think once I came back, I was just like, this is home. Like, I don't want to be anywhere else. This is where I belong. And recently, I mean, not recently, but like in the past, like maybe 3-4 years, that's when it really like everything came together for me. Of like the subject matter and the technique and everything just kind of came together at the right moment. And that's when I started making this kind of work.
Tell me about your last solo.
I had a solo at Russia. It was all about mariachis. Yeah, it was like really like one of my most ambitious projects to date, I think. I made one of like my biggest works ever in that show, and I just found to really focus on a single topic. And yeah, we made a video, and then, like just to like really focus, because that was like really maybe like around 10 months or more of work, and it was fun just to like work on something for such a long time and like learning and more and more as I made the work. I think that was really special, just to like not to be on the like rushing through the work, just more of like spending time with it and just taking my time to make the work basically. Like I think that was like a fun project to make.
What would your life be like without art?
I don't know, it's kind of hard to imagine because I mean I've been doing it for, I mean I wasn't doing it for money when I was like in high school or anything, you know. I was just like, it was an outlet to like be creative and to like, it felt more of like breathing. Like I had to like make art. That's like just like no different to me than breathing. It's just like something that I have to do. Now it's like my career, but before that, before anybody showed me or before I was making even like good enough work, or I was just like making all kinds of experiments. Like I think it's like something inside me that just drives me to like create, regardless of like money or shows and all the stuff. Just like I need just to make things with my hands.
Is there anyone you want to shout out?
You know, anybody that knows me, like I appreciate all of you.